What's going on, guys? It's Manuel Godoy from Black Sands, and I'm happy to see you guys. It's been a week, but we are back, and we are here talking about mediums. All right, so if you don't know, you probably have gotten your beat sheet done. You got everything prepared, ready to start writing, right? But you don't really know what exactly you should be investing in. Should you be making novels? Should you be making comic books, children's books? Who knows, right? That's what this class is for. This one is about mediums. And without further ado, we aren't going to waste any time on this. We're going to go right into this bad boy. So let's start it up. Boom. Don't worry about this, week 2, class 5. Just know this is class 5, mediums. All right. And what we're going to be talking about is which medium is right for you. So let's see. So the first question everybody should be asking themselves is this. I want to make what? What exactly do you want to make, right? There are several different mediums to tell your story. Each medium varies greatly in price and scope. Additional employees might be required for specific mediums, and burnout can happen if we choose to take on too many roles. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about is not only what different mediums there are, but also the requirements for each medium. So in other words, to make a comic book, you need a lot more people than to make a novel. You know what I'm saying? You might need some finishers when you're making a novel. You might need some other things. There's all types of stuff that you're going to need, and we're going to be going over that. And it's very important when you're trying to figure out how much your project is actually going to take. All right. So also, if you can hear me, please leave a comment below. Definitely leave a comment. That way I can tell that you guys are hearing me clearly. All right, so let's see. First things first. So the first type of medium we're going to be talking about is novels. All right, so novels are pretty cool. Novels are pretty cool, and one of the things that I like about novels is you don't have to use too many resources to do it. All right, so there's two type of novels out there. Right, there's the standard novel and the light novel. Okay, standard is mostly a Western thing, right? We love standard novels in the West, right? It's straight books. They have nothing but words in them. There's not much illustration. It's pure words and regular stuff. And then you have the light novels. This is more of an Eastern thing. In countries like Japan, China, and other places, they want at least a couple of images inside to basically give them the visuals they need in order to process the story, right? So you're going to have maybe like 8 full-page images in the book to help visually guide the story, all right? Not many, but enough where it's noticeable, all right? So when you really want to go down to it, a standard novel will require an editor. You're going to need an editor for a standard novel. That's guaranteed. But it's extremely cost effective. It's probably the cheapest form of writing you could do. It's also great for longer stories. So if you're telling a story that's very long or has a lot of characters or whatever, a lot of locations, it might be better to just do a standard novel. All right. Then a light novel, it's slightly more expensive, not really that much, because when you think about it, if you're doing like 8 to 12 images, like full page images, it shouldn't cost you no more than like $500 because it's going to be black and white. They're going to be black and white images in the first place. You can always hire help from overseas, right? They like short, small commissions like that. So that should be pretty good. And light novels can be shorter. You don't have to have a 200-page light novel. You could do something like 80 to 100 pages, especially if you have a whole bunch of images inside. So you have like 8 pages of images in an 80-page or 100-page light novel. They consider that a good buy. And then you can make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parts of this one short story, because you have images in there as well. So it's a hybrid. It's a little bit of a hybrid from the illustrative arts, and it's very popular in the East. All right, extremely popular in the East. Let's see what else. Then you have the infamous comics and manga. All right, comics and manga tend to be extremely costly. Well, let's see. First of all, there's two different ways you can do this, right? You can either do a web series or you can do print. All right. So first things, comics and mangas probably are the most expensive genre out of all the mediums that you're going to be making your story in. If you're choosing comics or manga, most likely you're going to spend a crap load of money. All right. That's just the way it is. There's a lot of work is required when it comes to the art. A lot of work is required when it comes to basically everything, every part of it. That's why they have entire teams doing this. So in a web series, basically what you're going to rely on is donations and subscriptions, right? Your model is, I want to basically have people pitch in to help me keep going. I'm not necessarily trying to make a profit. All right. So that's like a hobbyist, a web series type thing, right? The intensity tends to be extreme. So intensity means your release schedule. All right. So with a web series, you want to release every week, right? And maybe you take a month or 2 off. But for the most part, for like 2 or 3 months, you're going every single week, you're releasing new content. All right. Very intense. It's the second most expensive medium. Only reason why I say it is the second most expensive is because you're not really printing anything, but you are still doing a heavy amount of illustrations, which cost. And you're going to need multiple people in your team. You're just going to need it. All right. Now with print is even different. It's still a comic book, but now you're relying on selling directly. All right. You rely on direct sales to a customer, sometimes in physical one-on-one interactions. Rely on having multiple titles in a series. So one of the key things in order to be successful in print is to have multiple titles in a series. If you just got one book, it better be the biggest book in the universe. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make money off of it, because even if you sell to 1,000 customers, right? You sell to 1,000 customers and you got a $10 comic book, right? You're going to make $10,000 on that. And you're probably going to spend over $5,000 in order to print them and sell them. So you're going to make maybe $5,000 off of 1,000 customers. All right. Now, let's say you have 1,000 customers, but you got 3 books in your series, right? For $30 for all 3, right? He said, now every customer is worth $30, not $10. So now you make about $30,000. And because you printed all that stuff at the same time, the print cost is significantly down. Maybe you get it under $2 each. So maybe you spend $6,000 for your 3,000 books, and you make $30,000 on those books, leaving you with $24,000. Now you see where you're starting to make your money. Do you understand? So that's how we make money with physical comic books. The problem is, the cost is very high and it's very early. All right. You're going to pay up front. You're going to buy these physical comics before they ever sell. You're going to have inventory. You're going to figure out how you're going to sell them. All right. So comics is the comic prints is literally the hardest path, but it's also the most lucrative. Next part. Juvenile fiction. So juvenile fiction basically means stuff for young kids, usually early grade school, and maybe like babies. I don't know. If you like writing for babies, that's you, right? I say early grade school is the earliest I like going, right? But basically, it's 2 different types. There's the children's book, right? Children's books, and early grade school, or in other words, early readers. All right. So first of all, with a children's book, it's extremely illustrative. So almost entirely illustrations. Your entire success is going to rely on whether it's illustrated or not. You're also going to have very short stories. We're talking about stories to like 18 pages is long. For a children's book, 18 pages is super long. And each page has like maybe 5 words in it. Okay. They're not deep, they're not hard. They're very simple things. Uh, they're targeting the adults. I know people like to think when I make a children's book, I'm trying to impress kids. Kids don't care. Kids don't care whether it's a good book or a bad book. They just like books. They're too young to care. All they see is new, and they say, "Hey, it's new. I like it." What you need to do is convince parents, or you need to convince teachers, or whatever. So you have to have a story that impresses them. All right, this is very important in the funnel for children's books. And then you have early grade school. Early grade school is a little bit different, a little bit more educational. It has to have an educational value. If it has, what was it? If it has a common core curriculum, if you develop a common core curriculum for your early grade school book, you have a significantly higher chance of selling it, regardless if you're selling it to a parent or selling it to an educator. Because what you could do is you can literally sell a early reader book to a parent, right, for let's say $10, but a $20 lesson plan. You say the lesson plan is specific curriculum for your child. You can teach it at home, or you can teach it at school or whatever, right? And they're gonna be like, you know what, I like that. I would love to go through this with my kid and do all that stuff. Trust me, people will pay for that. People will pay for it, guaranteed. Uh, it cannot be too simple. All right. So one thing is with early readers, you can't be too simple. All right. You gotta put some kind of like genuine content in there that an educator would care about. It's more action oriented as well. So you will see some kind of action. Maybe it's joking around, maybe it's running around, but it's something that's like significant movement in the story. And kid heroes are amazing for this genre. All right. So if you're talking about early grade school, if you get a kid hero, like a freaking 8-year-old kid who's the hero of the story, that's a winner in everybody's book. All right. They want to see kids in kids' stories. All right. So handle that. All right, so now we're gonna go through the target audiences, all right? Because really it's different audiences for every single medium. So novels, right? Novels, you're looking at selling to libraries, book fairs, conventions, if niche, and local. All right, so if let's say, so in other words, you don't necessarily go to conventions if you're a novelist, but let's say you have it's a convention about sci-fi and you're writing sci-fis, right? Maybe it's a Star Trek convention or something that's like very like science fiction, hardcore science fiction oriented. That's when you go to that convention. Don't go to a convention about anime and you're writing a story about Luke, Dukes of Hazzard or something like that. Just don't do it. All right, it's a bad look. Then you got light novels. Light novels can go to either conventions. They could be sold on social media because they have a lot of images that they could help sell the story. Direct sales and crowdfunding. All right, you can do crowdfunding off of that pretty good. I don't rely on. I don't think crowdfunding is very good for novels. All right, it just doesn't. Comics, mangas, basically conventions is your bread and butter for comics and mangas. Huge buying culture there. Social media, direct sales, obviously. We also have web comic platforms. So maybe you want to get on Webtoons, or if you're good enough and black enough, you get on Black Sands Publishing when we launch our app. That's one of the things you could be doing. And Patreon. Patreon is for comics and manga creators, all right? That's one of the best platforms for donation-based support for a company, Patreon. Then early grade school. Early grade school, you're looking at schools, libraries, conferences, social media, and crowdfunding. Now, you know the difference between conventions and conferences is this. The librarians don't have a convention. They have a conference, the American Library Association conference. the whatever conference. It's all conferences. They're like business oriented events from people who are usually professionals. So these are the places you want to sell early grade school books because you're going to meet teachers, superintendents, whatever, and they're going to be able to order directly from you, or you'll be able to meet the distributors who sell directly to them, who have the accounts already, and you can get your book in their catalog. Who knows? But that's how you do that with the early grade school stuff. And then finally, children's books, looking at libraries, conferences, and crowdfunding. You can crowdfund a children's book, no problem. So the main thing about crowdfunding is this. The more images, the easier it is to crowdfund. The less images, the harder it is to crowdfund. That's how it works. That's really how it works in the game. Let's see. So this is basically the kind of homework I want you guys to work on, but I'm also going to be taking questions for the next 10 minutes, all right? So I'm going to give you 10 minutes to ask any questions you want about what we just went over. Maybe you have some ideas of what you want to write and you want to tell me your idea on which medium you're planning on taking on and why, all right? I would love to hear why you're taking on the medium that you're taking on. You know, give me some good reasons why you think that. And if I agree with you, I'll explain why I think it's a wise choice. If I disagree, I might tell you why I think it might not be the right choice. But either way, you're going to get some good feedback from me. The homework for the next class would be, what medium will you be choosing for your story and why are you choosing it? Can you handle all the requirements? All right, because some of these things require teams. Some of them require extensive amount of capital. Some of them require an intensity in the amount of releases that you have to put out, you know, especially webcomics. A lot of different requirements. So can you handle that should be one of the main factors for what you're asking for. And then are you comfortable with the target audience? All right, so target audiences are very specific. You can't go and sell to something that's never going to pick up your stuff, which is why, you know, with comics, I didn't say schools, because they don't buy comic books. They don't, you know, and at the same time, I don't tell people who have children's books to go to conventions, because nobody buys children's books at comic conventions or manga conventions. They just don't. So we have to be able to be comfortable with the customers that go with the actual medium we're creating. Now, go into the questions. All right, this is a good question right here. How would you recommend to attain funding for novels? Grassroots, man, you're going to have to pay for it yourself, or you're going to have to, there's two ways you can do it. You can pay for it yourself to make it professionally edited and professional cover and all that good stuff, so you can actually have a printed book that's beautiful, right? It's still going to cost you about $2,000 if you do the bare minimums, but professionally, it should cost you about $2,000. If you want to just wing it, and straight up say, look, I'm not gonna spend nothing but money for the cover. If my freaking book is not edited and it has a lot of grammatical issues, I don't care. I just want to keep writing and building a fan base. Then if you want to do that, then there's what, WhatsApp or something? Not WhatsApp. Wattpad. Wattpad is a good option. You can release your stories digitally on there on Wattpad. You can release it on Kindle for free on Kindle, whatever the hell it's called. That's automatically, you know, people subscribe and they get the what's it called, and you get revenue based off your reads. You could do it like that, right? Most of the time, free books and also books on Wattpad tend to be significantly less scrutinized than books that are actually in your hand that are printed. All right, so that's the best way to deal with that if you do not have the capital in order to get a professional editor. All right, let's see. How would you tackle multiple mediums? I would not. That's my answer. The answer is you don't tackle multiple mediums until you have at least one of them that is making money. The old saying goes, if the comic book doesn't sell, the novel about the comic book won't sell. You know what I'm saying? So we have to make sure that we're selling something first, have a fan base for that, and then we can make more mediums. For instance, Black Sands, The Seven Kingdoms, sells great. If I make the manga, The First Pharaoh, sells great. If I make the novel, Sons of Nibiru came out and had amazing success. The only reason why it's not here today is because I had a contract dispute and I had to kill that book in order to kill the contract and get rid of somebody that I felt was a real problem when I made that move. So Sons of Nibiru was a highly successful novel that didn't have any images at all in it. And it was successful because it was still a part of the Black Sands brand. It was Black Sands, Sons of Nibiru. All right. So what I'm trying to tell you is only go for multiple mediums after you've already proven the product. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, great luck. Good luck with the TV series. All right, let's see. I want to do a web series in a manga Disney style because that's what the way I always envision my stories. And no matter what, I can't stop thinking in serialized stories, but I don't have big social media. So first things first, Disney manga style. Does that mean it's for kids, little kids? Or Disney manga style, does that mean we're going for an older group, but it has a manga Disney style anyway? So it's kind of cute, but it's still for older readers. So in other words, a lot of let's say Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss is a lot of cute chibi characters, super cute, whatever, get eaten by giant werewolves, right? People get mutilated by by the environment nonstop. People die left and right, but it's still cute and chibi, and it's like it's a weird combination, but it works, right? People love it. So is that what you mean, or do you mean manga Disney style, but then Disney as in like the actual people they reach too, which is like little kids? They love anything under 10 years old. That's their audience. This is very important because a web series basically depends on people who go on the web all the time for specific things. So it has to be an older crowd. Young kids just go wherever links lead them. What is a good page number for your first book? 40,000 words. Don't worry about page number, okay? Because page number is based off of your font. If you make a bigger font, you have 115 pages. If you make a smaller font, you have 90 pages. Really depends on your font size and what you like to read, right? So I say 40,000 words. Is 900 a good figure for a 10-page one-shot manga? A little expensive to me, especially if it's a manga. You could probably get pages for like $60 or less. But if you really like the artist and they're freaking amazing, sure, why not pay them 90 bucks a page? Let's see. Can those of us trying to catch up still submit homework? I'm a patron. You can just contact me on Patreon directly to ask questions, right? I don't check homework. I don't check any homework at all, but I do help patrons with specific issues they might have with their story. So if you got a story issue or you have a question about a beat sheet messing up or anything like that, you can contact me directly through Patreon, and I will help you out with that. But I don't check the homeworks because a lot of stuff in the homework sometimes, like the beat sheet one, that's like 2-3 pages of work. I didn't even think about checking all that for everybody. Okay, if you're by your own, how many pages should you tackle weekly or monthly? And this is based off of web series. I have no clue. There is no such thing as pages in a web series. So I don't know. I don't know. All right, so that's it. All the questions that we have here. There's no more questions. So thank you all for joining us. And let's see what the next class is going to be. The next class is going to be about cost. All right. So I'm going to give you the actual numbers. All right. What are the numbers? How much is this actually going to cost? All right. And after you're done with the cost class, that's going to be it. So we're going to do that on Friday. We're going to be talking about the cost. And then I'll probably check in after Friday. I'll probably check in a month from then. And people better be halfway through their books. All right. You should be halfway through your books at that point. You have all the tools necessary to plan your book out properly and start writing about a thousand words a day. By the time you hit a month from now, you should have 20,000 words. All right. So let's get this done. All right. It's going to be very easy. All you got to do is follow the plan, have your beat sheet, hit the next beat every time, hit the next beat every time, and you're going to have your novel in no time.